Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I will be talking about my full Superman review. I've seen it. Thank you to IMAX for hosting those early screenings some of us fans got to enjoy. Again, we're back in the work in progress studio here. Obviously, you got to bear with me. I'm still working on getting some new equipment, but for one of my first videos, again, full videos on my YouTube, I want to talk about Superman, guys. What a triumph. Now, before we get into it, guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Again, I'm on this journey now. I've loved doing it for the small audience that I've attained. But if you guys want to follow along with me, please just, hop into the channel. I don't want to give the sap, like, smash the subscribe button, do all that. But guys, it really helps me push out content and I love it. Make sure to follow my other socials. Obviously my YouTube, it's all at Nate's Nerd News, TikTok, Instagram, you got it. Now listen, guys, today we are talking about Superman. First thoughts, what a triumph, guys. What a jumping off and launching point for the new DCU. I'm gonna talk kind of spoiler free first. We'll get into spoilers towards the end of the video. But first off, we gotta talk about the expectations of the movie. Listen, I've talked about this briefly on my TikTok and things, but I tried to keep my expectations in check. Listen, nature takes its course and I really start to heighten my expectations, but I did keep them at reasonable check. I didn't go in thinking this is gonna be like the best movie ever. I needed it to be the best movie ever. I just needed it to do two things. One, win the DC audience back. And two, I wanna like the movie. I'm happy to report, guys, it was everything that I wanted it to be and more in certain areas. Now, was it a perfect movie? No, I don't think it was like the most perfect superhero movie ever. We'll get into that later. But guys, this was a great movie. I loved it. Now, let's talk kind of some spoiler-free stuff. Again, we'll get into spoilers later. But first off, man, David Corenswet in the role of Superman. I think you're going to see this guy probably once more on screen, and it will be cemented that he is the best Superman out of all the actors. And yeah, that includes the late, great legend, Christopher Reeve. I just think David embodies the role so well. I honestly think he's so layered. Man, I'm just so excited to see what more we have. And this is, again, just the starting point. I mean, his and Lois's chemistry is insane. The Daily Planet squad, the chemistry there is just insane. All that to say, guys, so cool. James Gunn did such an awesome job. I said this as well on my TikTok, but I know James Gunn didn't purposely do this, and I loved Man of Steel. Well, I liked Man of Steel, I should say. I liked some of Zack Snyder's DCEU, but it's almost like James Gunn took Man of Steel and literally flipped it on its back to do everything opposite, and I think it worked out great. This is by far the most comic book movie I've seen. I've seen many reviews saying it's the most comic booky movie you'll ever see. I completely agree. This is absolutely one of the most comic book movies you'll ever see. It's literally like they ripped a page out of, All-Star Superman or some of these comics that are so legendary that we've all read and put it right on screen. People weren't lying when they say this is like Justice League Unlimited or Superman the Animated Series on screen. It legitimately is. It's like a live action adaptation. Again, I just have to say, what a launching point for the DCU. I'm so excited to see this Superman, these actors, this, cast interact with the other legends of the universe. This is such a small portion, but we're still getting the Wonder Womans, we're getting the Batmans, we're getting the Gotham, right? There's so much things we're gonna, the Lanterns, like we saw Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern in this movie, as Guy Gardner, loved it. I'm so excited to see, kind of the main Green Lanterns, which is Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, and the Lanterns show is gonna be great. Anyways, guys, I kind of want to just get right into spoilers. So here is your warning. Spoiler warning for the new Superman movie. If you haven't seen it, make sure to like this video. Come back to it later because I want to talk about some of the key stuff that you will now see in the movie. I'm going to kind of go as movies are made, they kind of have different parts. And I'm going to go through each part, with story, dialogue, set design, camera work. And then I'm going to talk about some of the cons. But let's start off with the story. Now, a lot of people thought originally there's so many, well, we'll get to the characters in a sec. Yeah, the characters are obviously part of the story. So a lot of people thought this movie was going to be jammed with too many characters. You got like this Justice Gang with Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl, and Mr. Terrific. Now, you obviously got Metamorpho in there too, and as we see Baby Joe. Like, there's a lot. You got Lex and his squad, and then the Daily Planet crew. Everybody thought it was going to be too much people. I honestly didn't. I didn't think it was jammed. Again, it's kind of like you go into the movie knowing that you're kind of going to jump right into the action, and that's exactly what you do. They don't really need to set up anybody because, again, I mean, we all kind of know these stories. You're thrown right into the action. And the story is such an original but faithful take to who Superman is. I mean, Lex is the ultimate hater. Nicholas Hoult does such an incredible job embodying Lex Luthor. It was so cool to see him just make some of the, well, it wasn't cool to see some of it, make some of the choices that his character made, because there was some horrific moments, guys. Like, there's one moment where he shoots a common civilian that Superman had met and kind of has a relationship with, and that was out of nowhere. He's playing Russian roulette, and he shoots the guy in the head, and that's insane. You know, when he puts Superman in the prison and you know, Metamorpho's using this kryptonite because he's kind of like, you know, being manipulated to do so. Literally, you see Clark's like wrinkles in the like the kryptonite is legitimately like melting Clark away. Anyways, I thought the story was great from the beginning, the middle, the climax until the end. I'll get into my con a little later, but I do think that like one of the only cons I had for this movie was I thought the climax was kind of rushed and the resolution kind of wrapped up quick. But I'll get to that later. Next is the dialogue, man. One scene stands out in particular. We've already seen trailers of it, but once you see the movie, like the Lois and Clark beginning the interview that Lois has with Superman, right? Insane. It's such a layered scene. You get to see both of those characters, kind of the best versions of the characters on screen that I've seen. I mean, Lois is really trying to crack at Clark and at Superman, and Superman is, again, not this stoic, no, I had to do good. No, he's still, it humanizes him because he's acting like he's so, he gets kind of angry and frustrated by these questions because he thinks he's doing good, which he is, but it's just so, it's so layered, right? There's so much good comedy. I mean, Superman's like, where's the button? I got to turn this, you know, recorder. There's so many things, man. I thought it was so great. You know, moving in kind of with staying on the dialogue topic, the comedy of this movie was hilarious. There were so many times where I was actually laughing. I definitely don't think it was like as much jokes and as much comedy as we see James Gunn do in like Guardians or the Suicide Squad. But I thought the comedy in this movie worked better than any of the other ones because it was like crafted comedy. Man, there's so many funny times where you see Clark and especially Superman like just popping jokes. Jimmy Olsen is so funny in this movie, man. Jimmy Olsen, wow. Gosh, that was one of my favorites. Him and Lois, him and Clark's relationships, like, it was so funny. You know, Jimmy and Eve's relationship. Yeah, there was so many funny moments, especially with the Daily Planet squad. Let's move on to the set design, though, because, again, I was talking kind of how Man of Steel, they flipped it upside down. And what was so cool was it's so bright and it's so vibrant. Those are the words that you hear a lot of reviews already say. But, guys, I mean, I'm here to double down. It was another way to see Superman. Again, it was just like seeing him on a comic book. It was so cool. I thought that, you know, obviously Superman's got the trunks. I think what was so cool is finding out that the trunks was not the original plan, but David Cornsweet, who played Superman, it was his idea to really add it. James Gunn obviously floated the idea, but he ended up kind of deciding, no, we're not going to do trunks. It's too goofy looking. But then David Cornsweet comes in and says, listen, that's kind of Superman's character. He's this all-powerful, you know, OP character, but he wears trunks to kind of let humanity know that, hey, I want to be welcoming to you. I don't want to be scary. And so it kind of adds the goofy. Again, it's such a layered approach. I think it worked really well for this movie especially. Yeah, I loved it. I thought, you know, the costumes and set design for the Daily Planet was great. It was like this vintage look. Obviously, you have the globe that's back. Finally, it's not some cookie cutter skyscraper like you see in the Snyderverse. It was just so cool to see, you know, the Daily Planet globe going around, and, you know, Lois looked like a reporter. Jimmy looked like a reporter. They looked like they do this job. Lex looked like that evil corporate billionaire, that just the hater. I mean, you see Metamorpho. And this is like the most kind of cosmic comic book take on a character. This guy's got all these elements all over. The costume looked great. It was practical. It looked so cool. Obviously, there's CGI elements. But man, the set design was so cool. I thought, you know, the pocket dimension was so cool to see on screen. Yeah, I can't talk about it enough. I mean, it was so cool. The costumes, the set design, the dialogue, the story were so great. Let's talk about the camera work. There was two things that I want to point out. One, Superman's flight scenes. So nuanced, so cool to see. But there's other things. I mean, with this cosmic kind of story that's like very wild, where there's this pocket dimension opening this rift that's about to go through Metropolis, you think like we're going to get the typical kind of, I'm going to say, Marvel CGI fest. We didn't. Guys, I thought the special effects were insane. When Metamorpho's fist turns to kryptonite, or he makes the sun in his hands, or I think the other point I wanted to make, that obviously you have the Superman's flying scene, but the other scene that was so cool was this rift that was opening, this split in the earth that was opening from the pocket dimension going to Metropolis. You literally see a building tear in half from the bottom. It was so cool. Even Lex's Luthor Corp Tower tearing. It was nuts. That was definitely a pro for me. But guys, before I make this video too long, let's talk about the cons, and then I'm going to give it my score. There were very, very few cons that I want to point out. Because again, it's not the most perfect movie. It's not like everything hit. But man, was this a great movie. Man, I love to watch it. I honestly think the movie was mostly Superman. Everybody knows that. I think it could have benefited from seeing Clark more. I think that was something that I really wanted to see. I wanted to see a little more of Clark because I thought it was funny. I thought it adds, again, to this alternate persona. I know we'll get that in the future, but I did think the movie lacked Clark because it's mostly Superman in the movie. Having said that, I want to see more of the Daily Planet squad. I saw my boys, this podcast that I love following, the Escape Pod podcast, talk about, hey man, why don't we have like a Daily Planet spinoff where we're going to see Jimmy and Kat and Perry and Lois and all these people and Steve Lombard, all these people. I would love to see a spinoff of that because I didn't think we saw enough of them. And man, they were like some of the best parts of the movie. So funny. I mean, when when Lois is flying the Mr. Terrific's ship and Steve's like, why don't I have a seat? And then it's like this whole funny scene where he's puking. Oh man, it was so funny. The next con I have was, guys, I honestly think this movie was too short. A lot of, key things a lot of people talk about now is, oh man, movies are too long. I can feel it dragging. But really, I thought that this movie could have benefited from being 20 minutes longer. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, I literally thought the climax, like I said before, I thought the climax and resolution was kind of wrapped up very quick. I thought it could have benefited with a little more dialogue and, it was such a special moment to see Superman, kind of adhere to Lex and say, this is why I am who I am. Everybody thinks I'm different, but I thought it could have benefited from being a little longer. But again, maybe I'm wrong. I think the other con that I don't even know is a con, it might be a pro, is this movie needs a rewatch. You have to go watch it again. So obviously that's good for the studio, and I'm so excited, but that was kind of my con. It's like, I wasn't able to take it in one, but again, that's kind of a blessing in disguise because I'm now so excited to go back and dissect more of this movie because there's so much. Now the last con I have before I'll give you my score is, I'm still deciding on my score, which I'll come back to. The end credits. James Gunn has gone on record saying the end credits are supposed to mean things. He's not going to put end credits in movies if they don't mean anything. And unfortunately, I thought the end credits didn't mean anything. Obviously, the first end credit where Superman and Krypto are on the moon looking at Earth, very famous comic panel. I think it's out of All-Star Superman. That was something that was really cool to see. But did it mean anything? No. So now I'm waiting through the second one. I'm like, okay, well, this second credit has to mean something. And it's him and Mr. Terrific kind of arguing about this, putting back this building back together. Maybe I'm excited to go rewatch it. Maybe it meant something more. But I also thought it was just kind of a lame scene where it didn't really mean that much to me. I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, you see Supergirl. That was a plus for me. Supergirl end up in the end of the movie. I knew that was going to happen. Obviously, that's the next movie to hit theaters in the DCU. I kind of treated that like it was an end credit scene, and that meant a lot. Man, Millie Alcock killed it just in the small scene she had. She's a drunk. It's so funny. But yeah, I don't know. I thought the end credit scenes didn't mean anything, and I thought it was supposed to be the opposite. I thought they were only going to be there if they meant something. But all that to say, guys, I am going to score this movie. I can't decide whether it's an 8 or a 9. I will come back to you and give you my final score, but it is either an 8 or a 9. Between those two out of 10, I'm so excited to cement that as I go see the rewatch. But thanks for watching, guys. This video is kind of getting long, so I want to shut it off before you guys, lose interest. But make sure to, again, hit that subscribe, hit that like button. Helps me along my way. Stay tuned for more stuff. Man, what a blessing this was to see this early. I'm so excited for you guys to see it this weekend. Man, leave your comments below what you thought, whether you agree or disagree with some of my takes. But again, I can't help but saying, other people are saying this too, what a launching point for James Gunn's new DCU. Whatever we're getting next, we are eating as fans. It is a great time to be a comic book fan. Love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next vid. Peace.